Well, good morning and welcome to Unfiltered Vision News, bringing you the news unfiltered Monday through Friday. So glad to be back. Thank you guys for putting up with all of the rebroadcasts that I posted. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't completely off the air. Took some time off to refresh, and I'm back. And so I'm happy to be back with you guys here this Monday morning. So, with that, let's get into honoring God with our body. God, please guard our mind and our thoughts. God, help me to fix my thoughts on what is true and honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. So I will think about things that are excellent and worthy of praise. God, please help protect our ears and help us listen to your voice. God, help me to be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. God, please protect our eyes from sin's damage. God, I make a covenant with my eyes not to look lustfully. God, please speak life over our mouths. God, set a guard over my mouth. Lord, keep watch over the doors of my lips. God, please help our hands to serve generously. God, help me to do good to everyone, and especially to those who belong to our family in the faith. And God, please protect our reproductive organs and help us to honor you, God, with purity. God, help me to honor you with my body. And God, please protect our feet as we walk along your path. God, let your word be a lamp for my feet and a light on my path. And that is something that we try to say daily on the show. If you are just joining us for the first time, welcome and thank you so much. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you guys so much. So hopefully the internet's getting better. You guys know my complaints about it. We're trying over here. But with that, let's get into some of our trending topics on X. The first one I wanted to talk about was the DSA leader confirms support for abolishing the Senate, prisons, and ICE. Now, I saw a little bit of this interview, of course, on my way back, and I was just like, it's kind of disturbing. So it says on July 26th, Fox News Sunday interview, Roma affirmed DSA's Workers Deserve More program, which seeks to replace the presidency and Supreme Court, abolish ICE and prisons, defund the Pentagon, grant amnesty while phasing out borders, and establish public ownership of major corporations. She described the Senate as an, okay, I don't even know how I want to approach this word, an anachronistic institution limiting popular influence, and argued most inmates serve time for crimes of poverty that inequality fuels. The remarks prompted quick backlash from House Speaker Mike Johnson, investor Bill Ackman, and Democrat Senator John Fetterman, who called it anarchy while highlighting tensions on the left ahead of midterms. What I find very concerning is they want to establish public ownership of major corporations. Public ownership. Let's say it again. Public ownership of major corporations. That sounds a lot like what they do in China, right? That is a completely communist country, and they're proud of what they're doing. But they have found that they have to have a little bit of capitalism with their communism because it doesn't work. Because government, they're horrible bosses. Okay. If we haven't learned that by now, the government is horrible at just they don't they don't do well when it comes to free market, right? They know how to govern slightly, maybe. They need help with that. But to say public ownership of major corporations, that's communism, y'all. That we're no longer playing with socialism. We are straight up communism. Okay, but let's check out this interview because I found it fascinating. Hopefully, you guys can hear this. Nope, you cannot hear it because I can hear it in my ears. All right, technical difficulties. Let me fix this really quickly. Let's try that again.
Of a true or false on these. Abolish the Senate.
True.
Okay. Replace the presidency and Supreme Court as we now know them.
Yep.
Abolish ICE.
Absolutely.
Abolish borders and give amnesty to anyone currently in the U.S. illegally.
As a long-term plan, yep.
Defund the Pentagon.
Absolutely.
Abolish prisons, at least in large part.
Yeah, again, that as part of a long-term program, yeah.
Okay, so no prisons. Government or public ownership of most large corporations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so then let's go back through some of those then. Abolish the Senate. There are people who are in the Senate now who are very supportive of DSA. They lose their seats?
Well, the Senate is an anachronistic institution.
Of your platform, and I want to ask you, just give me sort of a true or false on these. Abolish the Senate.
She pronounced that word, and that I'm still not messing with it. Anyway, what? And good morning. Do I see you? What? You want to abolish all these things, but you truly do not have an infrastructure in place to replace it with anything decent. We will become Cuba or other places on the globe that are suffering. Everybody's running from there to here. You can't run from what you left and then turn it into what you left. I can't. It's nonsense. It's horrible. Now, Starbucks. Oh, sorry. It updates sometimes. University of Minnesota develops gender dolls with removable genitalia for children. Why y'all messing with the babies? I can't. And these are the educated people, apparently, who are doing this. Yeah. 7 Save-A-Lot stores close in Chicago food deserts. So it's already bad. Now, I used to shop at Save-A-Lot. It's kind of like Aldi's in essence. It was an outlet grocery store, predominantly in lower income areas, okay, where they call them food deserts, right? But at least it was something. They did have produce and, different products, probably older. Like I found RC Cola at a Save-A-Lot store. I was like, who sells RC Cola anymore? But they did. Just saying. And the sad part about it is they're closing. Nothing's coming to replace anything. So what are these people going to do? They're going to become desperate, and they're going to start going to the more affluent areas. Because here's the thing that evil never thinks about. It never thinks about tomorrow. It never has a plan. It just does stuff randomly. And when everything's destroyed, it's like, oops, we destroyed this. Yes, you did. All of these people, they're not going to go hungry. They're going to come for the people that have money. They are going to come to where the resources are. And you've already trained them really well how to be thieves and how to be demonstrative. What are you going to do? Like Chicago is truly, truly on fire. We need to definitely keep them in prayer. So now I really wanted to transition to all sides. And here is another Democrat that's running for Senate. So the seat that Plattner left, now the individuals that are running, they're just as extreme as he is, if not more extreme. So Maine Democrats turn to Troy Jackson after Plattner exits the Senate race. So former Maine Senate President, Troy Jackson is working to become the Democratic nominee challenging Senator Susan Collins. Okay. So I found a video that I wanted to share with you guys about Mr. Troy Jackson.
Here at the Hill, I'm here at the Maine Democratic Democratic Party Senate nominating convention here in Bangor, Maine. Lots of hubbub around me as a lot of delegates are choosing their candidate right now.
Troy was running against one other Democrat for the spot. And, despite the sense that this was going to be sort of wrapped up very quickly and maybe sort of anticlimactic, there's a lot of hubbub, a lot of energy being felt in this room right now.
I feel very good about it. I feel really good about Troy Jackson beating Susan Collins in November.
I think it's great. I think you see the momentum in this room. Troy is so popular. He puts in the work campaigning. He shows up all across Maine.
Troy Jackson invoked, healthcare, LGBTQ rights, women's reproductive rights, which is notable given that he was attacked on abortion on the campaign trail as a gubernatorial candidate. He also talked about the recent ICE-involved shooting in Bedford, Maine.
And stand up to Donald Trump and ICE when they attack our workers, terrorize our neighbors, and threaten the freedoms generations of us fought to secure.
You're seeing a lot of people holding up signs saying, "Retire Susan, no more concerns." That's been another theme that we've heard here as well. A lot of people attacking Senator Collins and using this theme of, we're tired of hearing a senator who has concerns but isn't really voting in the way that we think she should be on some of these key issues. At the same time, Democrats are also clear-eyed that Senator Collins will be tough to beat as Troy Jackson looks to make up a clear fundraising gap against the GOP senator, and with just 100 days to go.
Look, this is going to be a very close race. Susan Collins has the advantage of incumbency and a vast amount of money. Troy has the advantage of being on the right side of the issues and having a record of...
He just said that this man has an advantage of being on the right side of the issues. Okay, so you support men and women's sports. You support eliminating humans. That's the right side of the issue? That's the right side of the issue, guys, because as long as it's against Donald Trump and anything Donald Trump wants to do, they have such a disdain for this one person that they are willing to destroy the country. Like this is crazy. This is insane. I don't even know what to say.
Susan Collins that has changed over time that I'm sure that he will point out.
It's sad. It's nonsensical. Now, I also found an interview with Fidel Castro's daughter. Yeah. Obviously, she's not in Cuba. Okay. Obviously, she's here in America. Because, see, the only way communism works is if you are protected and you have money. If you are a part of the lower class, you're done. You don't have a life. Okay? Because, see, the odd part that nobody thinks about, what happens when the businesses are gone. Okay, the businesses are gone, so they're not paying taxes. No one's working, so they can't pay taxes. Where's the government getting any of this money? Help me. Math works, or it doesn't. That kind of math doesn't work. It doesn't work in any scenario. It doesn't work. But this is what people are pushing for. This is what they want. They want to destroy the billionaire class. Well, we can't have billionaires. Why not? A lot of the people that are billionaires are convincing everybody else to destroy the billionaires. They're not going to be destroyed. Or even the millionaires. They're not going to be destroyed either. Bernie Sanders. What are we talking about? We need to go after all of these rich people. You are the rich people, sir. Mandani, same thing. A lot of these people have very large bank accounts. Broke people aren't up here screaming for socialism. It is these, what did I call them? Trust fund socialists and cupcake communists. They don't know what it is. Go over and live in Cuba for a couple of years and then bring us back a report. Okay. But we're about to hear from Fidel Castro's daughter.
daughter of Fidel Castro, and author Elena Fernandez, and she's also the author of Castro's Daughter. Also with us, the host of the Alex Marlowe Show, author of Breaking the Law, Alex Marlowe, and with us as well, former DSA member Jake Altman. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
So, Alina, let's start off with you. You are now an outspoken critic of communism. For the young people out there that are romanticizing this notion of equality and that capitalism is the big bad boogeyman, what is your message to them?
Well, my speech started in the last century, so I've been outspoken for a little longer than from now. Well, my message is to discuss and have conversations about what they really know about socialism and communism. I must say that socialism, as stated by Lenin himself, is the first step to communism. So don't get fooled by the changing words or the softness of the words in advocating for democracy, because what they're doing is a very precise agenda that is being a long time on the making. And they receive these instructions or these indoctrination already in the schools. So that's where you need to start, watching what you're learning in school and then think for yourself. Because really advocating for something that is obviously has failed so badly in so many countries and had costed so many millions of lives is definitely wrong.
Right, they keep saying, well, it just wasn't done the right way. This time we're going to do it the right way. How many times have we heard that, Alex? I mean, you know, AOC, she's kind of the ringleader of the Democrat Party. They're talking about her running for president. And she was asked by the Washington Examiner about the DSA's goal to abolish the Senate. And she said, quote, in part, I'm a House member. We all hate the Senate. What do you think about, I mean, who would have thought AOC is kind of almost too mainstream for the DSA?
Yeah, it's interesting. She wants some longevity, I think, in her career, and I think she's probably smart enough to know she's a young person, and a lot of the stuff the DSA is saying, it's going to flame out. This is going to be a fad. It'll be a flash in the pan type movement to some degree. Now, I'm not saying that it won't go on for years. It could go on for years. They could accumulate a lot of power during that time. But these are so anathema to American values. The idea of a Senate comes straight from our founding. And the principle that our states matter, we're literally the United States of America. People can't, you got to remember this, we are literally states. And so if you're going to start disenfranchising certain states and rewriting our founding principles, then there's going to be a lot of resistance, even from people who vote Democrat. She knows this. She's got good polling. She understands this stuff. So it's going to be interesting to watch her walk this tightrope.
You know, Jake, you left the DSA in 2022, and now it's exploding in popularity. Their candidates have already pushed major high-profile Dems out this primary. How dangerous is the DSA for people that maybe say, oh, it's just 120,000 people? What kind of impact could they really make?
Well, they're not a harmless organization at all. As you said, we've seen them have a lot of electoral success. They continue to push. You know, they could very easily win the Michigan, their DSA line candidate could very easily win the Michigan Senate primary here. And they have an extreme agenda, right? These are not the cozy social democrats of Norway and Denmark. These are hardcore communists. It's clear from the governing board of the organization, the majority is explicitly communist. And there are a lot of people out right now from DSA with the whitewash brush trying to hide this. It's just not true. They're being disingenuous.
Okay. So hearing it from there. So I definitely went to Grok to check out a lot of this just to see, like, I know this isn't the first time that socialism and communism have popped up in our country. Yeah. It's just, it keeps coming around, keeps making a comeback because people are tired of the system the way it is. But instead of trying to actually go, what can we fix? What were the pain points, right? And what can we fix? They just want to go straight to, let's just be communists. It's like, no, let's not do that. Because it sounds great, To some people, it doesn't sound great to me. Sounds great. And they're like, we need to get back to this. And it's like, no, stop that. But let's check this out. So, I went to Grok and it says, no socialism. Because I asked the question based on the interview with Castro's daughter, is this the first time that socialism, communism has risen in popularity in the United States? The answer is no. Socialism and communism have risen in popularity in the United States multiple times before the current period that Alina Fernandez, Fidel Castro's daughter, discusses in her recent interview, right? So in that interview was related comments giving the rise. So since the 60s, it urges studying the historical failures of these systems. There's been no successes with communism or socialism, none. But everybody thinks it's going to be different this time. What is insanity? Doing the same thing repetitively and expecting a different result. Sorry, it's not going to happen. It's not. Stop that. So in the late early 20th century, especially around 1910, 1918, the Socialist Party of America, let's just talk about this name. Let's just talk about that. Right now we have the Democrat Socialist of America. Sound familiar? Okay. Got it. So 108 years later, a century later, here we are. So the Socialist Party of America grew substantially. Eugene versus Debs, it's a presidential candidate, received nearly 1 million votes, roughly 6% of the popular vote in 1912. Socialists won local offices in places like Milwaukee and had strength among certain immigrant, labor, and rural groups. Sound familiar? This was the high water mark of an independent socialist electoral force before World War I, the Red Scare, and internal splits weakened it. Okay, so in the 1930s, during the Great Depression, economic crisis produced another surge in membership and influence for socialists and communists. The Communist Party, USA, not, at that point, they were like, all bets are off. We're just going to say who we are, right? Grew during the period, and socialist ideas influenced aspects of the New Deal debates and labor organizing, even as most Americans remained committed to reforms within a capitalist framework rather than full socialization of the means of production. They keep talking about that. Socialization for the means, or seizing the means of production. Government needs to seize the means of production. What does that really mean? That means they want government run everything. You can't have government run everything because without capitalism, there's no taxes. Y'all are dumb. I'm just going to have to say it. You have to understand how to make money. The government doesn't know how to make money. It knows how to spend it though. Let's talk about that deficit. So other periods, earlier utopian humanitarian socialist experiments in the 19th century, progressive era reforms with socialist adjacent elements, post 1960s new left influences contributed to recurring waves of interest. So Cold War Red Scares suppressed open communist organizing, but sympathy or soft support for socialist policies has fluctuated with economic conditions and generational shifts. So in the recent decades, Bernie Sanders campaign's growth with the Democrat Socialist of America, higher poll favorability for socialism, especially among younger voters, represent another side often more focused on expanded welfare state or social democratic policies than classical Marxism-Leninism. Polls and commentary from various sources document increased positive views of the term socialism relative to early post-Cold War lows, though definitions vary widely and support for actual state ownership of the means of production remains limited. Again, because you haven't suffered, you think everything is going to be okay. If there's no money coming in, it doesn't work like that. It's very interesting because the people that are influenced by this never really look at the result of it. They just keep thinking about today. Today we need money, so we want the money from the billionaires. They need to share everything they have. No, they don't. If you want to be a billionaire, figure it out. Don't take someone else's resources because you can't do it on your own. Stop that. It's called bootstraps, right? Pick yourself up by the bootstraps. Since you're so educated, since you have all the degrees, right? Why can't you start your own business, right? Why can't you do it on your own? Oh, because then we have to become a collective, because there are those who can't do it on their own. And I know that there are people who are handy capable. I know that there are people who can't always do it on their own. That's why we have these programs. We shouldn't have these programs because people don't want to work or refuse to work or have open borders or all this other nonsense. Stop. Y'all are wild. Because even communist countries have borders and they don't let everybody in. Y'all are wild. Okay, now let's get to our last article, and this is a Promethean update.
The Wall Street Journal published an extensive article profiling Carney's new role. It was entitled "The Canadian Who Steered Europe Away from the U.S." And it reports on the difference between then British Prime Minister Keir Starmer and Carney. When Starmer, at the recent G20 summit, said that the West had to salvage its relationship with America, Carney's answer was, "We don't have a relationship to keep." The empire knows that as long as Donald Trump is president, there's no point trying to massage the special relationship, which is why the public address for managing imperial policy toward the United States has, for now, shifted away from London.
Yeah, so that's going on right now as well. So I want to thank you guys for joining me here on this Monday recap. We'll be back tomorrow with Tell It All Tuesday. And yeah, we have a lot to pray about, especially about individuals being misled by communism and socialism. We definitely need prayer in this country. So I want to thank you guys again for joining me here on Unfiltered Vision News. And remember, stay well, stay focused, and stay unfiltered. We'll see you in the next one.